lockdown, 5 years on. Hello everybody, Tom here. Hope you're well. I suppose now is the time to talk about a subject that perhaps a lot of us would probably like to forget. That being the lockdown that we had to go through back in 2020. So, end of this month, end of March, was officially 5 years since our then Prime Minister Boris Johnson basically told everybody to stay at home until further notice due to the spread of the coronavirus, which was killing many, many, many people. To try and control the spread, the only way to really do anything was to keep people from mixing with each other. So that meant for myself, 5.5 months at home, being paid 80% of my wage on what a scheme called furlough. I kept my job. When I went back in the August, my job had changed. So I was effectively made redundant from my old position and put into a new one, keeping the same hours and the same pay, which luckily didn't work out too badly for me. However, for a lot of people, lockdown was a very scary and uncertain time. A lot of people couldn't handle being around nobody else. They couldn't handle the lack of human connection. They couldn't handle not being able to go for a drink, not going able to go anywhere and enjoy themselves. A lot of people's mental health took an absolute tumble. There was massive hikes in domestic violence, relationships breaking down, people at each other's throats, just purely because there was none of that space that people needed. So there was space in that it was enforced space in that we couldn't see perhaps your work colleagues. But for those of you who had like a wife or a husband, you were around them 24/7. And that in itself did push some relationships to breaking point and cause a lot of problems. For myself, from my own personal point of view, lockdown was not as big an issue as perhaps it was for some of us. I actually found a lot of good in lockdown. I had a lot of time to self-reflect. I kept working on my fitness. I joined a spiritual group, some of which I'm still in touch with, and I started this YouTube channel. So there was some good points in lockdown. I remember when it was lifted in the June of that year, and I went to go and visit mum and dad for the first time in months. And I remember their reaction to me. They were crying and very emotional to see me. Bear in mind, we'd spoken on the phone many a time, and we'd done FaceTime and what have you. I say FaceTime, it's more like WhatsApp videos. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this was not a very glorious time in human history. It was a very scary and uncertain time. And it really did test the resilience of everybody involved, particularly our National Health Service. A lot of companies folded as a result. And it was hard times for a lot of people. But at the end of it, we found a post-COVID world, which had changed a lot from the world that we knew back then. And, have we learned from it? I don't think we have. I think, from what I can see, there's a lot of complacency still out there from people about hygiene and virus control. While I'm not saying we should all be walking around wearing masks and sanitising our hands, one of the big reasons COVID spread so easily is because of the lack of basic human hygiene. Utter laziness by a lot of people who should know better. And I do see that there is an element of people thinking that it's never going to happen again and it's all right and everything's fine. I'm here to tell you that don't be so complacent. Another virus could happen tomorrow, and will we be better prepared for it? Probably not, because I don't think the public, no disrespect to anybody, is smart enough to even comprehend having to do this again. And some would say that we should never have gone into lockdown. Well, I kind of understand from both sides. If you look at other countries that perhaps not as well populated as what the UK is. They didn't have a lockdown. Certainly places like Sweden, Norway, there was no such need. Maybe it's because they're a bit more sparsely populated than what the UK is. But for whatever reason, we did it. We went through it. And I'm pleased to say I'm still standing here. Not everybody was that fortunate. I remember a work colleague of mine was very close to death. He literally was a couple of days away from not surviving. I remember the message I got when he told me, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. And my reaction was just like, wow. So he came out, he survived, but he ended up with really bad long COVID and his lungs were absolutely screwed. So, not great. So hard times for a lot of people. But even now, 5 years on, when I go to the supermarket, I wear a mask. And a lot of people probably think that's a bit strange. But I wear a mask because I don't trust my fellow human beings to be clean enough should anything like this happen again. Because, as I said, complacency's crept in. We all think we're going to be okay. There's absolutely a strong possibility that in my lifetime something like this will happen again. Let's hope it's not worse next time. Anyway, this is my first of 3 videos. I want to say thank you all ever so much for listening. I really appreciate your time and energy spending on my channel. Thank you kindly. First of 3, as I said, please put down in the comment section below, what was your experience of lockdown? Did you find it hard being away from friends, family? Was you able to adapt like myself? I was actually quite proud of how I managed to carry on, you know. It was not really as big a deal for me as perhaps it would have been for some. But everybody's experience was different. You're by all means welcome to share in the comment section below how yours was and whether or not you think that we're prepared for such a thing happening again. Please, if you would, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. That'd be really great. Please consider giving me a thumbs up and a like. It'd be really wonderful. And let's hear that bell sign go ding dong so you know my next content's out. I will be back in a couple of days with another video. But until then, please, all of you, take care of yourselves and bye for now.